up the truck. I'm going to look at my overall condition of the truck. I'm going to check underneath. I'm going to make sure I don't have no oil, no liquid under it that indicate I have a leak somewhere. I'm coming up here. I'm going to check my amber clearance lights. I should have red. They're amber in color. They're securely mounted and they're not damaged and they're clean. Over here I'm going to check my side indicator light. It's clear with amber lens inside. This is a running light. It is a turn signal and it is a four-way flasher. Up here I'm going to check my headlight. It is clear in color. It is a high beam and low beam. Both of these are properly mounted and secured. They're not damaged and they're clean. That's all we got to check on the front of the truck. Alright, we come over here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. I'm going to check my alternator. I'm going to make sure that my alternator is properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, dents, or bends in it. My wires are secure. There's no bear marks. There's no frays, no exposed wires. I'm going to check my belt because it is belt driven. I'm going to check it, make sure there's no cuts, frays in it. It has no more than a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inches of play. We're going to come down here and we're going to check our water pump. We're going to make sure our water pump is properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it. It's not leaking. It is gear driven. So we're going to make sure that the gear is working properly and that the gear is not leaking as well. I'm going to check my exhaust. I'm going to check my exhaust all the way from the turbo. And we're going to run it all the way down the truck. Underneath. We're going to check it all the way up to the very tip of the stack. We're going to make sure that all of our hardware, all of our brackets are properly secured and mounted. There's none missing. We're going to check for soot. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in the exhaust. And all hardware is present.
Go ahead.
Alright, I'm checking for soot trails. The soot trails would indicate that I have a leak somewhere in the exhaust system. Alright, I'm going to check my windshield washer fluid. Make sure that it's properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks in it. It's not leaking. And it is between the add and full. We're going to come over here. We're going to check our radiator reservoir. We're going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks or holes in it. And it's not leaking. And it's between the add and full. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to look at my overall side of the engine. And I'm going to check all my clamps, hoses, brackets. I'm going to look and make sure that there's no leaks anywhere on this side of the engine. Alright, so I'm going to come over to this side of the engine. The first thing I'm doing, I'm going to start with my air compressor. My air compressor is properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it. Right? It is gear driven. So I'm going to make sure that the gear is working properly and it's not leaking. My air compressor is not leaking any air. I'm going to check all my hoses and fittings coming from my air compressor. I'm going to make sure they're not cracked, frayed, or bulging, and they're not leaking. Right behind it, we have our power steering pump. We're going to make sure this is properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it, and it is not leaking. It is gear driven, gear is working properly, and it is not leaking. I'm going to follow my power steering hoses. We're going to make sure our power steering hoses are not leaking. We're going to check the fittings on each end. The hose is properly secured and mounted. It is no cuts, frays, or bulges, and it is not leaking. My power steering reservoir, it is properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks or holes in it. It is between the add and full. I will check my hoses coming from it, both hoses, and I'm going to check my clamps on each end of the hoses. They're all properly secured and mounted. There's no frays, bulges, or cracks in the hoses, and they're not leaking. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at the overall side of my engine. and we're going to make sure that there's no leaks on this side of the engine. We're going to check all of our clamps and hoses on this side. We're going to check our oil level. We'll pull out the dipstick and we'll make sure it's between the add and full. Over here we have our oil fill. We're going to make sure the cap is tight. As I said, I'm going to check the overall side of this engine to make sure there's no more leaks on this side of the engine. All the clamps and hoses, and everything appears to be fine. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to check my steering shaft. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted, it's not bent, it's not cracked, it's not twisted. I'm going to check my U-joint right here, make sure it's free of debris and it's greased. We're going to check our power steering gearbox. It is properly secured and mounted. It is not leaking. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it. It has all its hardware here holding it together. All these bolts are present and they are tight. We're going to come down here, we're going to check our pitman arm, our draggling, and our steering arm. We're going to make sure they are all properly secured and mounted with castle nuts and cotter keys. Alright, they're not bent, they're not broken, they're not damaged. All the sockets and joints are properly lubricated. Alright, I'm going to check my upper and lower steering knuckle. I'm going to make sure they're properly secured and mounted. They're properly greased. They have the castle nut and cotter keys, and they're tight. I'm coming here, I'm going to check my front and my rear leaf spring hangers. They are properly secured and mounted. They're not cracked, bent, or dented, and they're properly secured and mounted to the frame. The front and the rear. Make sure we check both. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to check my spring, or my spring. Make sure my leaf springs are properly aligned. They're not cracked, bent, or broken, or damaged in any way. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to check my bushings. I'm going to make sure the bushings are present and they're not dry rotted, cracked, or damaged in any way. I'm going to check my U-bolts. I should have 2 U-bolts in the hardware, 4 nuts and 4 washers. They are present, they're not cracked, bent, or damaged, and they're properly secured and mounted. We're going to come up here, we're going to check our shock. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted at the top and the bottom. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it, and it is not leaking. Alright, I'm going to come up here, I'm going to check my brake line and make sure that my brake line is properly secured and mounted with fittings on each end. The fittings on each end are tight, they're not leaking, they're properly secured and mounted. The hose, it has no cuts, frays, or bulges in it, and the hose is not leaking. We're going to come down here, we're going to check our brake chamber. Our brake chamber is properly secured and mounted to the bracket. Alright, there's no bends, dents, or cracks in it. It is not leaking. I have a band. The band is present around it and is properly secured and mounted. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to check my slack adjuster and my push rod. I'm going to make sure that they are properly secured and mounted. They're not cracked, bent, or broken, or damaged. They are properly secured and mounted together with a castle nut and cotter key, or a pin and cotter key. Alright, if I pull on this slack adjuster, I should have no more of 1 inch of play in it. Alright, we're going to come down here, we're going to check our brake drum. We're going to make sure our brake drum is properly secured and mounted. There is no cracks in it, no spidering. It is not worn dangerously thin, and there is no oil or grease present. We're going to check our brake linings. We're going to make sure they're no less than 1/4 inch. Make sure all the hardware is present. They're not damaged, there's no cracks or dents or bends in them, and there is no oil or grease on them as well. Alright, I'm going to check my inner and my outer wheel. I'm going to make sure that there's no cracks, no bends, dents, no illegal welds. Alright, I'm going to check my inner and outer tire. I'm going to make sure that there's no cuts, frays, or bulges. We're going to check our tread. We're going to make sure that it's evenly worn There's no cuts, frayed, bulges, no separation, and I have at least 4/32 of tread on my tire. When we come to the front, we're going to check our lug nuts. We're going to make sure that all lug nuts are present. They're all tight. There's no signs of streaking rust or walled holes that would indicate that I have a loose lug nut. I'm going to check my oil seal, make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, there's no holes in it, it's not leaking, and if it has the sight glass, it's at the proper level. We'll check our valve stem, make sure this is properly secured and mounted. It's bent, it's not straight. Or it's bent, it is straight. It has a metal dust cover and it's not leaking. With a tire gauge, I would check my tire pressure and I would make sure that it is to the manufacturer's suggested pressure. Alright, so we're going to come up here, we're going to check our mirror bracket. We're going to make sure our mirror bracket's properly secured and mounted on both ends. It's not bent, damaged, or broken. We're going to make sure our mirror is properly secured and mounted to our mirror bracket. Our mirror is not broken, it's not bent, it's not cracked, it's all in good shape. We're going to check our door. We're going to make sure our door opens and shuts correctly. We're going to make sure our window rolls up and down. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to check my hinges. I'm going to make sure my door hinges, they're properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. I'm going to check my seal all the way around my door. Make sure there's no pieces missing, it's not dry rotted, and it's properly secured and mounted. I'm going to check my steps. My steps are properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged, and there's no debris on them that would cause us to slip. We're going to check our fuel cap. Our fuel cap is tight and we're going to make sure that it's not leaking. Our fuel tank is properly secured and mounted. We got 3 bands with the rubber straps underneath them. There's no bends, no dents, no cracks, no holes in it. It is not leaking. Alright, we're going to check our amber light here. It is amber in color, it's clear, it's properly secured and mounted, it's not damaged. This is a 4-way indicator and our turn signal. We're going to come over here, we're going to check this amber light. It's properly secured and mounted. It's clean. This is a running light, a 4-way flasher, and a turn signal. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to check my steps and my catwalk. I'm going to make sure they're properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged, and there is no debris on them. We're going to come in here. I'm going to check my frame. Make sure my frame is straight, it's not bent, there's no illegal welds. I'm going to come in, I'm going to check my cross members. I have 2 cross members here. I'm going to make sure they're properly secured and mounted to the frame. They're not bent, broken, or damaged, or cracked. There's no illegal welds, and there is none missing. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to check my drive shaft from the front to the back. I'm going to make sure that drive shaft is properly secured and mounted. It's not twisted. There's no cracks, bends, or dents. There's no illegal welds. I'm going to check my U-joints, make sure they're properly secured and mounted. There's no debris in them. They're properly greased and they're not bent, broken, or dented. Alright, I'm coming down here. Now I'm going to check my air lines going to my brake chamber. This is a dual brake chamber, so I have 2 air lines. We're going to check the air lines, make sure the fittings on both ends are properly secured and mounted and they are not leaking. We're going to check both hoses, make sure there's no cuts, frays, or bulges on the hose, and it is not leaking. Our brake chamber, it is properly secured and mounted to the bracket. Alright, there's no damage to it, there's no cracks, bends, or breaks in it. It is not leaking, there's no dents. It has 2 bands. Both bands are properly secured and mounted, and they're not damaged, they're not bent, broken. We're going to come and we're going to check our slack adjuster. Our slack adjuster and push rod are properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. They're not dented. They are properly secured together with a cotter key and a pin. Alright. If I pull on this slack adjuster with the brakes released and the wheels chalked, I should not have no more than 1 inch of play. Alright, I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna check my spring hanger. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted to the frame. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it. I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna check my spring. This is a spring and it also acts as our torque arm. It is properly secured and mounted. It is properly aligned. There's no cracks, bends, or dents in it. And right here we have a bushing. Our bushing is present, it's properly secured and mounted, and it is not damaged. Alright, now I'm going to come in here, I'm going to check my airbag. I'm going to make sure my top airbag mount is properly secured and mounted. It's not damaged, it's not cracked or bent. We're going to check our airbag, make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, there's no bulges or frays in it, there's no holes, it is not leaking. We're going to come down here, we're going to check our lower spring mount, which mounts the rear of the spring in the airbag. It's properly secured and mounted, there's no damage, it's not bent or broken. We're going to come in here, we're going to check our shock absorber. It's securely mounted at the top and the bottom. Alright, it's not cracked, it's not bent, it's not damaged, it's not leaking. Alright, we're going to come in here, we're going to check our mud flap hanger, make sure it's properly secured and mounted to the frame. There's no cracks, it's not bent, it's not damaged. We have DOT reflective tape. We're going to make sure our mud flap is properly secured and mounted to the hanger. It's got all its bolts. There's no tears, no rips, and it is not touching the ground. We come in here, we have these 2 red lights here. These are our brake lights. There are running lights, 4-way flashers, and turn signals. This is our clear reverse light. They are all properly secured and mounted. They're not damaged and they are clean. We have 2 red reflectors. They are present and they're not damaged and they're clean. Alright, and come here, I'm going to check the overall condition of the front of my trailer and make sure there's no holes, no dents, no cracks. All the rivets are present. Alright, overall condition is good and it will hold cargo in the event of a panic stop. I'm going to check my yellow or amber clearance light up top. It's properly secured and mounted, it's clean, it's amber, and it is a clearance light. We're going to come down here. We're going to look at our trailer frame at the top, and our trailer frame at the bottom, and our trailer frame at the top. It's properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it. We're going to come over here. We're going to start on our landing gear. Our landing gear is properly secured and mounted to the frame. All right, there's no missing pieces. All the landing gear is properly bolted together with all its hardware. None is missing. It's not bent, broke, damaged, or dented in any way. Our landing gear pads, they're properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged, and they're in the fully raised position. We're going to check our arm. We're going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It's not bent, broken, or damaged, and it's in the stowed position. As I come down the side of my trailer, I'm going to check, make sure I have my DOT reflective tape all the way down. We're also going to be checking our cross members. We're going to check the cross members all the way down our trailer, make sure they're properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. And we're going to check, make sure we don't have any holes in our floor. And we're going to do this all the way down the trailer. Alright, we're going to get here, we're going to check our amber lights. This amber light here, this is a clearance or a running light. It is amber in color, it's properly secured and mounted, and it's clean. Right here we have another amber light. It's properly secured and mounted. It's clean. This is our 4-way flasher and our left indicator. Come back here to the rear of the trailer. We're going to make sure that our tandem sliding pins are in the out position. They're not damaged, bent, or broken. We're going to check our tandem release arm and make sure it's properly secured in its slot. It's not damaged, it's not bent or broken. We're going to come down here, we're going to check our tandem frame, make sure our tandem frame's properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it, no illegal welds. We're going to check our spring hanger. Our spring hanger is properly secured and mounted to the frame. Alright, it's no, the welds are all good on it. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, or damaged. We're going to come down here, we're going to check our torque arm. Make sure our torque arm is properly secured and mounted. It's not bent, broken, dented, or damaged. It is mounted right here, and it has the bushing. The bushing is secure and it's present, and it is not damaged. Our leaf spring, we're going to check our leaf springs right here. They are properly secured and mounted. They are properly aligned. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in them. They're properly secured with 2 U-bolts, 4 nuts, and 4 washers, which are properly secured and mounted, and they are not bent, broken, or damaged. Alright, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to check my rear brake chamber on the trailer. It has 2 air lines. I'm going to check the fittings on the front, or the top, and the bottom here. I'm going to make sure the air lines are properly secured and mounted with the fittings. They're not leaking. We're going to check our air lines. Make sure the lines have no cuts or frays in them, and they are not leaking. We'll come down here, we're going to check our brake chamber. The brake chamber is properly secured and mounted. Alright, it has no bends, dents, or cracks in it. It is not leaking. We're going to check the bands, both bands. Make sure they are properly secured and mounted, and they are not broke, bent, dent, or damaged in any way. We're going to come back here, we're going to check our slack adjuster. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. Our push rod is properly secured and mounted. They are not broke, bent, dent, or damaged in any way. They are properly secured and mounted together with a pin and a cotter key. And if we were to pull on the slack adjuster, we should have no more than 1 inch of play on the push rod with the wheels chopped and the brakes released. I'm coming here, I'm going to check my brake drum. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It is not worn dangerously thin. There are no cracks or spiders in it. It has no oil or grease on it. I'll check my brake linings, make sure they're at least 1/4 inch. They're properly secured and mounted. All the hardware is present. They're not bent, dent, or broken, or damaged in any way, and they are also free of oil and grease. We're going to go in here, we're going to check our inner and outer, wheel. We're going to make sure they're properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, dent, or broken in any way. There's no illegal welds on them. When I come in, we're going to check our bud spacing. Make sure we have plenty of bud spacing. We can see no gap between the wheels, and there is no debris. We're going to check our inner, outer sidewalls. Going to make sure there's no cracks, frays, or bulges. We're going to check our tread. Going to make sure the tread is evenly worn. There's no cracks, frays, bulges. There's no tread separation, and we have at least 2/32 of tread on them. We'll come in here, we're going to check our lug nuts. Make sure all lug nuts are present. They're all securely mounted, they're all tight, there's no rust trails or walled holes that would indicate that they are loose. When we come in, we're going to check our hub oil seal. It's properly secured and mounted. It's not bent, broken, there's no holes in it. It's not leaking, and it is to the proper level. We're going to check our air valve stem. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It is not bent, cracked, it's not leaking. It has a metal dust cover. And if with the air gauge, I would check to make sure that the tire is to the manufacturer's suggested pressure. Alright, now that I'm back here, I'm going to check my rear spring mount. Make sure that it is properly secured and mounted to the frame. There's no cracks, no bends, no holes, there's no damage. And I'm going to make sure that my spring is properly secured and mounted to the hanger as well. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to check my mud flap hanger. We're going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It's not bent, broken, or damaged. We're going to check our mud flap itself, make sure it's properly secured and mounted to the hanger. There's no holes in it, there's no rips, tears, and it's not touching the ground. Over here we have our red clearance light. It's properly secured and mounted. It is clean and it has no damage. I am coming to the back of my trailer. I'm going to check my overall condition of my door. I'm going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It has all the rivets on all sections here. They're all properly secured. They're not damaged and there's none missing. We're going to check our door hardware. We're going to check our latch. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. Alright, the latch has no damage. It works. And we're going to check. We're going to make sure the door opens and shuts as it should. We're going to make sure the door has its seal all the way around. None is missing and it is not damaged. Up top, I have 3 red clearance lights. They are properly secured and mounted and they are clean. We're going to come down here and we have 4 red lights. Alright? Our 2 outside lights. They're red in color. They're properly secured and mounted. They're clean. They're not damaged. These are my brake lights and my running lights. Sorry, these are my turn signals and my running lights. I'm going to come in here and these center ones. Red in color, properly secured and mounted. They're clean. They're not damaged. The center ones are my running lights and they're my brake lights. So again, the outside ones are running lights, turn signals, and 4-way flashers. The inside ones are brake lights and running lights, and they are red in color. I'm going to check my DOT bumper. I'm going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. It's not damaged, it's not bent, it's not broke. We have DOT reflective tape on our bumper and on our back door. Alright, on the rear of the tractor, I'm going to check my inside, outside, and outside sidewalls of my tire. We're going to make sure that there's no cuts, frays, or bulges in them. We're going to check the top of our tread, make sure that it's evenly worn. There's no cuts, frays, or bulges, and there's no tread separation. They are at least 2/32 of tread. We're going to check our inner and outer wheel. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it, and there's no illegal welds. We're going to check our bud spacing in between. We're going to make sure that there's no debris and that we have no gap between our 2 wheels. We're going to check our lug nuts. Make sure all lug nuts are present. They are properly secured and mounted. There's no rust streaks or walled holes that would indicate that one is loose. We're going to check our axle seal. It is properly secured and mounted. All the bolts and nuts are present on it. Right? It's not leaking. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it. We're going to check our valve stem. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no cracks, bends, or dents. It's not leaking. It has a metal dust cover. And we would check our air pressure with a gauge, and it would be the manufacturer suggested pressure. Alright, now we're going to do our coupling system. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I call my 6-point connection. Up here, we're going to check our connections on this side and this side. We're going to make sure these connections are properly secured and mounted. Alright, we're going to check our glide hands, our glide hand seals. The glide hands are properly secured and mounted. They're not bent, broken, or damaged. The glide hand seals are in there and present, and they're not leaking. We're going to check our fittings at the bottom of our glide hands, right here and right here. They're properly secured and mounted, they're not damaged, and they are not leaking. I will come over on this end. I will check my lines coming out from underneath my tractor, make sure there's no cuts, frays, or bulges in them, they're not leaking. And I will check my fittings on both sides here. These fittings are properly secured and mounted, they're not bent, broken, or damaged, and they are not leaking. I'm going to check my air lines all the way from the front to the rear. Here, there's no cuts, frays, bulges in them. There's no cracks. They're not leaking. We're going to check our electrical line. It's properly secured and mounted. The flap is down, it's all the way in. We're going to check both ends for the same thing. They're properly secured or mounted. They're pushed all the way in, they're in the lock position, and they're not damaged. We're going to check our electrical line. We're going to make sure there's no bare wires on it, no illegal repairs. We're going to make sure none of this is dragging on the catwalk. Alright, I'm coming up here, I'm going to check my apron on my trailer, make sure it's flat. It's properly secured and mounted to the trailer. There's no bends, dents, cracks in it. We're going to check our fifth wheel plate. Going to make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, dents, or cracks. It is properly greased. I have no gap between my apron and my fifth wheel. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to check my platform. My platform is properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, dents, or cracks in it. It is secured, it is mounted to the fifth wheel skid plate and by this cotter key and this pin. This is a pivot pin. I'm coming down here, I'm going to check my mounting bolts. Make sure my mounting bolts are properly secured and mounted. There's none missing, they are tight. We're going to check our platform, or actually our mounting plate itself. Make sure there's no bends, dents, or cracks in it. And we have two locking pins right here. We want to make sure that they are in the out position, they're not damaged, there's no cracks, bends, or dents in them. So we have this slide plate as well. The slide plate the platform sits on, and we want to make sure that there is no cracks, bends, or damage to it, and it's properly secured and mounted to the mounting platform or to the mounting bracket. Back over in there you can see we have an air slide actuator that make the pins come in and out. It is properly secured and mounted. All its hardware is present. It is not leaking. We have a hose, airline hose that goes to it. It is properly secured and mounted at both ends. The fittings are not leaking, they're not damaged. The hose has no cuts or frays in it, and it is not leaking. Alright, and I'm going to walk back here, I'm going to look up in there, and I'm going to check my kingpin, make sure it's properly secured and mounted. There's no bends, cracks, dents in it. And I'm going to check my locking jaws. I'm going to make sure my locking jaws are correctly around the shank of the kingpin. Alright, now we're going to start our end cap portion. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my seat belt. Make sure it's properly secured and mounted to the wall and to the floor. Make sure it tracks and retracts. There's no cuts or frays in my belt. It's not damaged. It latches and unlatches. I'm going to check and make sure that it's properly secured and mounted on the floor as this end as well. I'm coming here, I'm going to check my windshield. My windshield is properly secured and mounted. It's not cracked. It's clean. There are no illegal stickers and nothing in my view that can obstruct it. I'm going to check my mirrors, make sure that my mirrors are properly adjusted for me. Alright, we're going to check our city horn and our air horn. Alright, we're going to check our fire extinguisher. Our fire extinguisher is properly secured and mounted down here. The needle's in the green, indicating that it is full. This truck has 3 red reflective triangles under the bunk. They are properly secured and mounted, and they are not damaged. We have spare fuses and circuit breakers under the bunk as well. I'm going to make sure that my brakes are pulled, my transmission's in neutral. I'm going to push my clutch down and we will do a safe start. Alright, I'll slowly release the clutch. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start checking my gauges. When I come over here, I'm going to check my water temperature, make sure my water pressure gauge is properly working and it is going up to the normal operating range. Our oil pressure gauge, it is working properly, it is rising to the normal operating range. Our voltmeter, it is working properly and it is charging. Over here we have our air pressure gauges. We're going to check, make sure they're working properly. And we know they're working properly because we're going to wait for it to come up and purge, which should be between 120 and 140 psi. check our heater and our defrosters. We're going to turn the defroster on. We're going to make sure this is blowing out. Defroster is working properly. We're going to turn it to heat. And we're going to make sure our heater is working properly. Alright, I'm going to check my windshield wipers. My wiper arms, they're properly secured and mounted. They're not cracked, bent, or broken, or damaged. Alright, I'm going to check my wiper blade. It is properly secured and mounted to the arm. It is not cracked, bent, broken, or damaged. The rubber is not dry rotted, it's not cracked, it is all the way up against the windshield. They're properly secured and mounted together. We're going to make sure that they work and that they squirt. Alright, we're going to check our left indicator. We're going to check our right indicator, our four-way flashers, and our high beam indicator. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my air pressure is built to governor cutout. It was between 120 and 140, so we're good there. I'm taking transmission. I'm going to put it in second gear. I'm going to push my trailer brake in. I'm going to do a slight tug, and this is going to be making sure that our parking brake is working correctly on the tractor. Slight little tug, it doesn't move. I'll pull my trailer back out. I'm going to push my yellow tractor parking brake in. This is going to test to make sure that the trailer brakes are working correctly. With a slight little tug, it works correctly. I will push both buttons in. I'm going to pull forward at 5 miles per hour. And we're going to hit the brakes to make sure that the truck will press our service brake. Make sure the truck is stopped correctly. It did not pull to the left or the right. Put the transmission back in neutral. And we're going to build our pressure back into governor cutout again. This is a must step to do. We heard it purge, governor cutout. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place it back in second gear. I'm going to shut the truck off, slowly release the clutch. I'm going to turn the key back on. My ABS light, it comes on and it goes off, indicating the ABS is working properly. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our leak test. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foot on the brake pedal, I'm going to press down, and I'm going to wait till my air stabilizes. Once my air stabilizes, I'm going to count to 60, and I should not lose no more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Okay, we've been 60 seconds. We did not lose no more than 4 psi in that 60 seconds. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pump down our brakes. Alright, between 55 and 60 psi. My red light and or warning buzzer light should come on. You should not hear the buzzer before you start this step. So you see my red light and my buzzer are come on. I'm going to continue to pump down. At approximately 40 psi, both of these knobs will pop out. Now you do not touch these knobs, but make sure you keep your eye on them to watch them pop out. Alright, so both of our knobs came out. Actually, the yellow one did not come out, so we're going to keep pumping. That's why you got to keep your eye on the knobs. Now both knobs have popped out, so do not ever touch them, and that's why. Alright, now what I'm going to do is push my clutch in, neutral. We'll perform a safe start. And I would ask my examiner, would he please get out and help me do an external light, and we'll make sure that every light on this truck is working properly.